1. This occurred in the days of the 486 processor-based desktop computers and Windows NT. I remember this vividly because this would have easily cost that admin person her job at the very worst. I had worked as an IT support person dealing with the computers used by administrative and academic staff in a department within a major faculty in a local university. When the head of the faculty decided on centralizing some of the services within itself, individual IT services within the departments became a single faculty IT service, catering to all faculty staff and students. Consequently, the IT file and folder infrastructure was mapped accordingly when the independent network services merged under a single container, entity, and collective. One fine day, I got a frantic call from an admin staffer, not from the original department I worked in, whose computer stopped working, and the telltale signs of a dead HDD was apparent when I visited the person's desk. The sound the computer was making, or rather the HDD itself, was evident. I told the person that the computer was truly dead and all of the blood drained from her face, but I assured her I would have it back up in a few minutes after replacing the whole desktop computer with another one. Once the replacement was installed, the admin person logged in with some relief. However, that quickly turned to anger when the desktop shortcut on her login did not reveal any files or folders that she had meticulously built, organized, and arranged in the years she worked there, according to her. I had simply assumed that her electronically managed filing cabinet was stored in the network file servers, which is the primary reason of our existence and the service it provides. A thorough investigation yielded no evidence of the setup in the file servers, plus examining the tape backups where the latter consumed a fair amount of time and yet again yielding nothing. By this time, I was hauled up for incompetency before both the department head and IT manager, after many a tearful complaint made against me by you-know-who. After all, it was her entire work in the many years she worked there for the department. In the office of the department head, I was asked to explain myself, and I did as per the above, and then to defend myself further, I asked you-know-who, as she was present as well, to explain her modus operandi with file and folder management. As she could not explain it in words properly, the four of us adjourned at her desk to witness her demonstration on how she managed her files and folders. "Everything is saved into this shortcut," she says. "Each and every file since the day you started?" "Yes, I discovered that you can do this for convenience." "So I never helped you out with this discovery at all?" "No." "Do you see this P drive and F drive in your window?" I ask, pointing to Windows Explorer on the screen. P drive is mapped personal file and folder drive to the network. F drive is a mapped departmental file and folder drive to the network. "Yes, but I don't use it." "How do you obtain files you know exist but they don't reside in the shortcut?" "I get one of the other admin staff to email it to me." "Did you ever think of looking for it in the F drive?" "It's all their stuff which I have no business looking at," she says, now getting flustered. So can you please show me the property of this shortcut, because I would like to know where it is pointing to," I say. "Okay, here it is," she says, executing the request promptly. C:\Windows\files and folders. I read out aloud from the label displayed. "Do you know the actual location of this files and folders folder?" I ask. "No, that's your job." "Yes, that's my job, and I have just completed it. You have a pleasant day." And I walked out of the office, leaving the department head and IT manager to deal with the fallout. Both the department head and IT manager asked me to seek the services of a data recovery company, in the hope of salvaging the data off the dead HDD. Around $2,500 plus, and 7 weeks later, the only evidence yielded was a very extensive and elaborate folder arrangement. However, every file unfortunately corrupted beyond recognition. 2. As an independent consultant, I get all types of clients. Some are one-and-done jobs and never hear from that client again. Others become regulars. And some are big jobs that then get passed off to someone inside of the company to administer. I'm a bit more picky about the work I take these days, mostly because I can after developing a good reputation. But there was a day and age when the phone rang, and if it was remotely within my wheelhouse and if the billing hours were good, I would take the work. This is a story that happened recently, when an old account came out of the woodwork years later, acting like it was just yesterday I was at their location completing the job. And as usual, no matter what your specialty is, no matter how much you try to brand your company, no matter the tagline you use when marketing, when you do consulting and are in IT, you will always be the IT guy. Scope of work timestamped 2014. I woke up one Monday morning to see an email from a sender who was not a current customer. Yet the subject line had RE in it. Thinking it might be spam, I almost deleted it, but decided to review it instead. To my surprise, it was a real email and an actual reply. Just to an email I had sent back in 2014. It read, "Hey IT guy, you put this server and some workstations in recently, but it appears that one of those workstations is now not booting and the server is giving us problems. My internal IT," turns out that was his college-aged son, "said that the hardware is malfunctioning and will need to be replaced. I need you to come on out and open up a warranty repair or replacement on this equipment. And I need that today," bolded and underlined, if at all possible. "Sincerely, guy who did a one-and-done job 7 years ago." Now, back when Obama was still president, I would occasionally partner with another company to sell equipment that carried a limited warranty, and my master services agreement does have a short warranty period in it. But I had no idea where this guy got the idea that almost 7 years later the warranty would still be applicable. Still, I wanted to make certain there wasn't a unique circumstance that I couldn't recall, so I went to review the file before writing back. 1 server, 4 workstations, cabling, and labor. I have to admit my record-keeping practices from 7 years ago had a lot to be desired, but I did have the scope of work and some associated documents archived in some old business records. It looked like I did source the equipment from a guy I used to partner with, at a pretty good rate too, and it did come with a warranty, but that expired a year after sale, and my MSA from that time only warranted my work for 90 days. So I responded with a politely worded email and attached the documents as backup. Told him I would be happy to swing by today and take a look, but it would be a new job and my rates have changed. About 5 minutes later, this response shows up in my email. "Hey IT guy, those documents attached are not from this sale or they don't look like the agreements I have on file. My receipt has an unlimited warranty with VIP service response within 24 hours. I would scan it, but my network is currently down. I either need you to come by today to start fixing this, or I will bill you for having to call in someone else to make good on your warranty. Sincerely, guy who is starting to sound like a jerk." I don't like to assume people are doing business in bad faith or lying, but this is starting to smell. So I decide there is only one way to go about settling this. Swing by his office and see what he has in his files. Maybe I did make a one-time exception to this work that I just can't recall. Probably not, though. Yeah, that is a receipt all right, but not for the serial numbers of any of these machines. I emailed the guy back saying I would swing by in about an hour and we can talk about it. When I got to the office, he was waiting for me in the reception area. Just him, as the network is down, so he had to send his staff home to try work using their own internet connections. He greets me in a hurried yet respectful manner, and then shows me to the conference room. There he has out an old file folder stuffed with paper. "The agreement is in there along with all the receipts. It says lifetime warranty. Good for the entire lifespan of the equipment as long as we are the original owner." Okay, let me review what you have because it doesn't match my records. This is from about 7 years ago, so I don't really remember this job. "It is all there, and ironclad. I'm a shrewd negotiator. Are you going to make good on the warranty or try to weasel out of it?" I don't like the guy's attitude, but again, I want to keep it professional, so I comb through the mess of a file folder. Mr. Hostage Negotiator might be smooth with haggling, but maintaining orderly records was not a strength of his apparently. The receipt for my work matched up with my records, and then I came to another bill that wasn't in my file. It was just a generic printout with 2 signatures, not mine, and did say lifetime warranty on it. When I got to the equipment description, though, I noticed that none of the serial numbers matched my work. This was a different bill of sale for a completely different job. I'm starting to think this guy is trying to pull one over on me, but don't want to throw out unfounded accusations. The equipment on this sheet is different than the stuff I installed many years ago. Did you have someone else in to do work?
Yeah, we had another guy in a few years ago run some updates, but he said he used the old equipment.
Well, only one way to settle this. I ask him to show me the malfunctioning boxes so I can check the physical serial numbers against these records. The manager shows me the server room and I compare the tags. Not even close. Not even the same manufacturer. So here's the serial number, here's the information from my sale documents that match yours for the work I did, and these are not even by the type. But it does match this bill of sale from the guy you had in a few years ago. So looks like he put in new stuff.
That can't be. He was supposed to use the old hardware and upgrade a few things.
Well, the paperwork all matches with my stuff and yours, so my guess is you are mistaken, and the person you had do the work had to replace some equipment. I show the manager all the numbers and manufacturer types, and he is flabbergasted. Look, I'll be happy to help, but we're going to need to sign a new agreement, and if you want me to prioritize this job, it will be at emergency rates. But I do have this evening available. Or you can try to contact this other guy and see if he will make good on his work. Free advice. Now, I don't want to give the impression this guy was trying to fleece me, but it should also have been obvious to him based upon his files that the warranty was not under my work. Anyhow, I did the investigation that was necessary to determine if it was my problem, and with that I was prepared to go unless he wanted to pay me for my time. And then you get to the awkward part of being a consultant, when you have to give a little free advice to get some possible paid work. And this guy was about to try to get a lot of this free work out of me.
Okay, maybe this isn't the stuff you put in, but can you take a quick look at it and tell me what the problem is?
It could be a host of things, and if you do have a warranty with another company, I don't want to touch anything as it could void that warranty. I'm already out about 2 hours into this whole escapade, and I want to clear off some non-urgent work I had scheduled for the days as well. But at the same time, I want to help this guy out, and if that means a few evenings of overtime rate work, I'll take the extra money. Fortunately, it didn't take me long to diagnose the problem. The equipment that was installed was substandard back in the day it was put in, and the box was just dead. It looks like it needs to be replaced and a backup restored at a minimum, probably the same for any workstations that also won't boot. The swindle. The manager ends up entering into a verbal agreement to pay for 5 hours of emergency work, and I tell him I'll be back later in the day. I'll take a few photos of his records and try to call the company that did the work that is supposedly warranted. Figure this might be an easy fix if all I have to do is coordinate logistics. Call the main number as I drive to another client and it is disconnected. Email the main contact and it bounces. Look up the website and there is nothing at the domain. Search for the company on LinkedIn and find an old profile from a few years ago. Chase down the CEO of this company and his profile hasn't been touched in years. Throw the name into an internet search and what pops up are some news articles about how he's in jail for a fraud conviction. I think you all know where this is going. It took me a few more hours to piece together what happened. Looks like this guy came in under the guise of doing an upgrade, and what he ended up doing was removing the equipment I installed, which was high quality, top-of-the-line stuff back then, and replaced it with some substandard cheap boxes he had salvaged from God knows where. What was surprising is that they functioned as long as they did without failing. The manager got billed for new high-end equipment and a lifetime warranty that the company probably never intended on honoring. I don't know if the manager thought he was going to pull a fast one on me after he tried to contact the other company to find they were no longer in business, assuming I would never check the serial numbers or records. But what it did end up doing was costing him a pretty penny for not only my time, but all new equipment to get his office back up and running. This guy fancied himself to be some sort of hustler, but ended up getting hustled. Although, true to form, as we were negotiating the scope of my work to get him out from the jam he put himself in, he said,
"You're gonna give me the repeat customer discount, right?"
To which I responded, "Sure. I offer a 3% discount for customers who pay in cash." A hustler has got to hustle. The job was done, and again, true to form, he happily paid in cash, making certain to get every penny of that 3% discount, closing with,
"Thanks, IT guy."
3. All of this takes place somewhere around 2010 to 2011, and thus the conversations are as I recall them, and even more friendly than they were at the time. I was a systems administrator at a company with 350 to 400 employees. We were 4 admins handling everything including servers, applications, clients, and network maintenance. Now, since we were 4 and did not have a dedicated supporter, we took turns on checking the help desk and answering the support phone. Part of the support duties were to deliver and help new employees with their computers when they started. Now, this will be important later. We were located in a new building at the time. The building was built with 2 floors and 4 big open-floor offices. The offices had flexible floors, where we could move power outlets and network ports around when needed. This also meant that all cables from workstations went into the floor, including power outlets. So this is the beginning of the month, and we had hired a new employee. This employee was located in the open-floor office just opposite Karen's office, only separated by a hallway and a glass door, which I suspect is how Karen spotted me. I'm helping the new employee getting set up with all the different applications when I hear the classic as I turn around. Karen is standing behind me. "Oh, hi, Karen. Something wrong?"
"My computer isn't working, and I have some really important work to do. Can you please come fix it?"
I say to the new employee, "You should be set up now. I will come by later and verify that everything runs." So I get up and move to the office where Karen is located. The first thing I notice is that all monitors are dark, so fairly easy troubleshooting, since the power is clearly gone. "Karen, the power is gone in this section of the building. This is not an error on your computer, and not anything that I can fix. But I can help you call tech and ask them to look at the circuit breaker."
"No, you guys are responsible for the computers, and my computer is not working. I need this fixed. We are losing money for every minute where I can't work."
Now, at this time, I had been in the company for 2 or 3 years, so I knew Karen, and how easy she would panic. I still didn't expect her brain to fail this much. Anyway, back to the story. I call the tech. "Hi, tech. We've lost power in the office where Karen is located. Can you help out?" 5 minutes later, tech arrives, and we both start to look through this huge wall with circuit breakers to find the one that is blown. I'm helping for a few minutes before I decide to go back to my office and let the others know what's happening, and asking that they should cover the phone for me, then heading back to tech, who had now found the fuse. However, when turning it on, it blows immediately again. So now tech starts his magic troubleshooting, while I head back to my office. Almost at the second I get back, the doors are opened, and inside the room enters Frazzled Manager. "Hi, what's wrong with Karen's PC? She's running through all the manager's offices and tells them that her PC isn't working, and that you're refusing to fix it, and that she can't do her job." I tell Frazzled Manager what's going on, and since he knows Karen, he simply shakes his head and goes back to work. Now, the next 10 minutes are all spent on different department managers heading down to me, all wondering why I'm refusing to help Karen. I know all of them, and they know Karen, so the explanation part is pretty simple. Meanwhile, I'm going up to check on Tech, planning to warn him on what Karen is doing. So I move up to Karen's office, and as I enter, I can hear Tech laughing. When he notices I am there, he points underneath Karen's table. So I go over to check, and guess what? Turns out that the outlets, in the floor, remember, were soaking wet. Karen herself had managed to empty her entire water carafe out on the table, I guess by accident. The water then went from the table and right down to the outlets, killing the power in the office where she was located. So, as the pity person I am, I let tech deal with that part. I went around to all the managers who went to me earlier, offering them the missing inside of the story that Karen had forgotten to tell them about. To this day, I still haven't found out why she reacted like she did. She wasn't stupid and should have connected the dots when she spilled her water at the same time as the power went off. So to run around advertising her mistake to all the managers just seems like a really bad plan to me. 4. To start with, I am in LTL and FTP. A bit of background. I work for a national phone, cellular, TV, and internet company in the country I live in. I started as a level 1 tech support flunky, then on to level 2, and now in a combined role, residential business, doing email, chat, social media support. This tale goes back quite a few years while in level 1. An older gentleman who lived in a rural area and was connected to the internet through ADSL. His computer was in a different room in his house from where the phone line was. He did not have a cell phone to use. He called in to technical support since he didn't have an internet connection. The conversation went something like this. "Thank you for calling. How can I help?"
"Hello? My internet is not working. It works for a few minutes, then stops again."
"Okay, can we take a look? Can I get your account info?" Gives the account info, then adds,
"My computer is in a different room. This will take a while."
"Okay, let's check the basics first. Is there power to the modem? And if there is power to the modem, what color are the top 3 lights on the modem? Power, DSL, internet?"
"Hold on."
You could hear him stomping from the room with the phone to the room with the computer. He comes back a minute later.
"There's power. DSL light is red, and no internet light."
The internet light would show the status of the PPPoE connection. Green for authenticated, red for failed authentication, and off if it never got to the authenticating. Okay, now let's check the connections, the cables. Can you make sure the phone cord, the DSL cable, is plugged in securely to the gray port on the back of the modem, and is plugged in securely to the phone jack?
"Hold on."
More stomping, then a lot of swearing. It was loud enough that I had no problem hearing every word. For our company, if a customer is swearing and being abusive towards us, we warn them 2 or 3 times, and then disconnect the call. He comes back to the phone.
"Everything is connected, okay? I unplugged and plugged both ends back in until they clicked."
That is good, thank you. This went back and forth for 45 minutes to an hour. Ask a question, get him to check something. We verified all the connections, checked the settings in the modem. I verified the credentials on one of our test systems, which remained stable for 10 minutes at least. With each question, troubleshooting step, he would stomp off and swear up a storm, then stomp right back to the phone and confirm that he did what I asked him to do and what the result was. After the 45 minutes to an hour and nothing was working properly, I finally asked him if there were any changes or work done in the house in the past few days. He then told me an electrician was down the day before, doing some wiring in the basement, as he was having his basement finished. I asked him if he wouldn't mind going into the basement to where the electrical panel is, and where the phone wiring comes into the house. As before, you could hear him stomp off to the basement. It was quiet for around a minute, and then you could hear the swearing. I heard him stomping up the stairs and pick up the phone. His response was,
"That fucking electrician, he put a staple right through the phone cord coming upstairs. He's gonna come back and fix this shit this afternoon. Thanks."
I'm not an electrician or electrical engineer. I have no idea how the connection would be intermittent when the phone line has been pierced by a metal staple. I would think that this would be just dead. I had a hard time not laughing every time he was in the other room swearing, but it was nice to deal with when he was on the phone. I don't care if someone swears. I just won't put up with anyone insulting me personally. 5. I've always wanted to tell this tale about how myself, a 19-year-old electronics tech and a 19-year-old airframe specialist, repaired an aircraft that had cost the division tens of thousands of dollars and 1,000+ man-hours to not repair. We were exceptionally proud of ourselves. Set the scene. 1980s Overseas Naval Air Station, small division. We flew C-12s and C-131 aircraft. The C-131 was a 1950s airframe with reciprocating engines. It was a workhorse. Pretty basic, but also damned reliable. Of the C-131s, we had 3 of them. They were basically a cargo craft with the ability to carry up to 48 passengers. We had one that had been converted into a VIP craft and was really pretty inside. However, when the conversion was performed, the attention to detail ended at cosmetics. During various repairs, we found that they had used household extension cords for wiring in some places. Cue the WTF look for electricians everywhere. Inside the aircraft had couches, a full kitchen, the whole works. They even installed household paneling, very important later. Onto the problem. The aircraft was equipped with 2 VHF radios for communications, both of which had to be operating in order for the airplane to be in an up status. In the military, the aircraft is up or down for flight status. 926, tail number of aircraft in question, had been having issues with the VHF-1 radio that would come and go. One day, for reasons unknown, it simply stopped working. Many hours were put in to get the aircraft up. They changed radios multiple times. Since I was fairly new from electronics and radio operator school, I was not deemed worthy for helping to troubleshoot, and most times we were set about to clean aircraft or do maintenance checks. At the time, I was also flight crew on these same birds, so while yes, I was new, I was still very familiar with them nonetheless. It was finally determined by the senior technicians that every time the aircraft was powered up and avionics were powered on, the VHF-1 radio would immediately go into transmit mode. Nothing was being transmitted except static. The attempted solutions, as previously stated, they changed the radio multiple times, then they changed the wiring harnesses for the radio, then they changed the entire radio rack for all the radios. Needless to say, none of this worked. They had spent weeks on these repairs and nothing was working. Finally, it was determined that the issue had to be in the cockpit. Every wire was traced and they finally determined that the only way to fix the issue was to remove and replace the entire cockpit dashboard and instrument cluster. This was no small feat. The airplane sat and sat till the new dashboards arrived. They replaced both sides, pilot and co-pilot. Surely this would fix it, right? The replacements took days. I can still see the technicians crawling around little tiny places, getting cuts on their hands from trying to get to the wiring that for all intents and purposes was not designed to ever need to be replaced. Technicians were brought from upper levels, the guys that would actually repair the electronics internally. Everyone was in on this, except us lowly airmen. We would run tools and stuff, but that was the extent of our involvement. New dashboards installed, now for the moment of truth. Power on, avionics on, radio starts transmitting. No! You could feel the dejection of the assembled masses. What could it be? All hope was lost. Weeks the airplane sat. Nobody wanted to go near it. Surely if we ignore it, the problem will just go away, right? Cue the lowly airmen. One bright and beautiful day, there was almost no work to be done. Aircraft were flying and not much going on. Myself and Airman Barb were sent to clean the down airplane. When I say clean, I mean detailing. We were given small brushes, think toothbrushes, and instructed to scrub the avionics panels in the cockpit. This was donkey work, but really there was not much else to do, so we happily complied. We were best buddies anyway. Pretty soon the cockpit was sparkling, and we did not want to go inside and tell everyone, since they would just give us some more crappy work. So we hung out in the airplane and talked. To this day, I'm not sure what got into me, but the wiring diagrams were laid out in the airplane's galley, and Barb and I started having a look-see. Remember, I was flight crew in these planes and knew them very well. Anyways, I started looking at the wiring diagrams and noticed that in the galley, where we were lying on the floor, there was a missing microphone jack. Yeah, you know where this is going. The more I thought about the anomaly, the odder it seemed. I looked everywhere. It was supposed to be on the wall above the coffee maker. Surely they would not have simply paneled over it. Would they? Nah. Now, as strange as it seems, that is exactly what they had done. This microphone jack was mounted on the side of the electronics bay that dozens of people had been in and out of for the last few months. When Barb and I noticed the jack, the first thing we noticed was that it was green with corrosion. Surely it cannot be this simple. After all, the best minds on the base had been struggling for months with this. Well, a quick squirt of Freon and a little brush took care of all that green. As a radio operator, I was fully qualified to power everything up and run avionics checks. Yeah, you guessed it. Radio worked perfectly. We were two very excited airmen, but how to handle it? Since we were performing maintenance, we had all the paperwork with us, including the original complaint. It was decided. We signed off the repair with exactly what we had done and headed for the maintenance desk. Entering the office, I simply went up to the counter and, as casually as a very excited young airman could, simply stated, 962 is up. Could have heard a fucking pin drop. The entire place just went dead quiet. Senior Chief just looked at me and asked what I meant. I just repeated, 962 is up. I then headed off to the shop. I do not clearly remember the whole aftermath, but it was pretty frustrating for everyone concerned. Barb and I were never really applauded for what we did, but we were pretty proud. I think acknowledging us would look pretty bad, since everyone would know that all those senior technicians from all the different divisions and all that money wasted was all in vain. So a lesson to everyone. Always start with a KISS. Keep it simple, stupid. Hey everybody, Hellfreezer here, and thank you very much for listening to Terrific Tales of Technology, number 8. And thank you very much to everybody who allowed me to use their stories in this video. If you enjoyed the video, then please do lick, nudge, wink, poke, telepathically activate. Doesn't matter how you do it, but hit that like button for me if you could, because it greatly helps out me and the channel. It encourages YouTube to show the videos to other people if you do so. Or you could also leave a comment. Maybe do both. Hey, you only live once, unless you're James Bond. He only lives twice, apparently. And if you're new to the channel and you would like to see more, then that can happen by hitting subscribe and pressing the notification bell, which I understand sometimes works. What video is this anyway? Tuesday? Yes, it is Tuesday. Hello, Tuesday. Right, I need to do some sort of grocery shopping, so I'm considering doing that today. I'm recording this really early on Tuesday morning before I go to sleep. I'm a total night owl, so that's just kind of the way my schedule is sometimes. Sometimes I think it'd be nice to wake up and not have to record, just do a bit of editing. So I record before I go to sleep, if I have the energy, which I did today. So that was good. Or, I did promise myself, I haven't had a grocery delivery for a while. I did promise myself I might get a delivery as a treat. Might do that, we'll see. Okay, and with that, I'm going to head off for now. So until next time, thank you very much for listening, and take very good care of yourselves.